Data Storytellers. Today, I'm here with Marco Papagno, who's the head of growth analytics at lastminute.com. Hi, Marco. How's it going today?
Fine, thanks, Paul. Nice to meet you.
Yes, likewise. And I'm really excited to get into some good topics today and see where the conversation takes us. So just to start with, tell us a bit about yourself in a few words.
Okay. I started my career in 2011. So after I graduated in mathematical engineering, and from there I started working in some IT consultancy firm. And there I started a different approach than the one that I learned in college. And I had a very hands-on approach. So I learned a lot of stuff concerning IT, like, I don't know how to read an XML file, stupid stuff that now it sounds weird, but also like how to navigate into a database in MySQL, things that are not basic stuff in an engineer university. Then after 4 years, I decided to start from scratch, basically. I wanted to move more close to a business environment, because I felt like I was just providing, I don't know, tools to running business, but I wasn't reading into the business. So I started I started a new career basically as a business analyst. So as a junior people, I joined the company, and here I started to see a different kind of issue that I was facing. It was the business people usually lack of patience in understanding data. So whoever has ever done an analysis, we know how us as analysts we like to explain every single decision that we have made to arrive to a certain number, to a certain decision, to a certain conclusion. But usually business people do not really care. So here I have to learn how to summarize information and put it in a nice format to explain to others. And this became every day more complicated as much as you grow up, and let's say the higher your stakeholder in a hierarchy of the company, the more synthesize you have to do. Then I also learned the ability to do execution, because many times the role of analyst is just to bring information and then that's it. Then so I also learned how much is important and how it can be effective if you also do execution of what you found it. Then I think that the last step that now I'm facing, sometimes I arrive, it's a bit of abstraction, so I can sometimes understand, predict what is going to happen, not doing analysis, but let's say doing forecast. It's slightly different, but let's say the ability of abstraction, it's not that easy.
No, I can imagine you've got a lot of stuff there, which we're definitely going to be touching on later in the conversation too. You've been in this space for a while, doing a lot of external consulting. What made you continue to work with data and analytics? What do you like most about your job?
But at the beginning, I didn't really understand it. So till I didn't get the excitement of doing execution, I really didn't understand how powerful it was to be an analyst. I see a lot of very smart guys that has a lot of knowledge, but many times they don't keep investing their time in doing execution. Let's use this keyword. So many times, if you find an insight, you share it, and it got somehow lost. And in your answer, how can you do another analysis? How can you spot some other insight and be proud of it? So many times, one thing that I keep saying to my analysts, to my team, is once you find something, keep pushing for having it done. So ask the product people. I'm in a digital environment, so for me it's particularly easy to push people, make them happen quite quickly. But it's very important to, when you find something, to take care of it, understand how is it evolving, to keep controlling it after it's been developed. And sometimes I don't know, being a bit proud of what you have found. Also, you are just someone that is executing someone else's requirement. So the concept that I really enjoyed on my role is that I'm an analyst because I have been born as an analyst, but at the end of the day, I'm a business owner. So once I find something that I think it can bring some benefit to the company, I really stay close to it and take care that that will be done.
Interesting. So with you mentioned you're working in this digital environment now. So how do you define that growth? You mentioned that when you're taking those next steps in terms of data drivenness, right? How can you track that in a digital native, let's say?
How can I track the success record that I can get? But okay, in my title there is the keyword growth. So usually I don't know, one of my manager teach me to have this growth mentality. So usually we like to say that we pointed to hockey stick. So when we find the nice, the soft spot or something, we see an hockey stick in some metrics that we want to drive. So usually I like that growth concept. But okay, being more realistic, let's say that I like to measure my progress with any KPI with an euro in front or pound. I think you are from England, no? So pound, it's the same. But basically, it's important that there is an economic feedback, because at the end of the day, let's say the success of the company is driven by money. So I know it's not so polite to say, it's not, I don't know, it's not what we should aim for, but if you somehow are driving a business opportunity, you have to measure it in terms of money. Okay, and so I see many. For example, one of the main things that we measure is conversion rate. But I think it's spread among all the digital industry. But conversion rate doesn't have an euro in it, so you have somehow to understand how that conversion rate can become an euro. But I think also in the startup, the first issue for every startup, the second issue, the first probably is traffic. The second issue is how to monetize the traffic. So monetization is a big. I think it's a big, it's important role of our strategy. Also because taking into consideration that in many digital business, the marginality are so thin and the business are becoming so complicated that if you touch something here or something get broken on the other part of the business. So this is also one of the reason why a strong analytical mind in a business environment nowadays, it's very important. So also very successful manager, probably they will need in their portfolio of competences of their team, they need a strong business analytical mindset.
And you mentioned earlier that what you've seen is in the past is a lack of patience in the business with data. How have you gone about dealing with that lack of patience? So what are some of the best ways to get over that obstacle in your experience?
Usually you can't act on your stakeholder, so they keep having no patience. So the only things you can do is adapt. So actually, for example, I spend a lot of time with my people, with my team, and I ask them to present me stuff. Okay, usually the keyword that I like to, the sentence that I like to say is, you have to explain me these things as you will do with a 10-year-old kid. And the point there is that I see that many times the junior analysts, they present me data and they start a presentation telling me how they take the perimeter, what was the decision. So before arriving to the concept that they want to sell me, basically, I already lost interest in what they were saying. So sometimes I tell guys, just remove all the slide. Someone will say less is more, I don't know, but basically just catch my interest, and then I will ask you if you have checked all these corner case, if the perimeter is right. So many times you don't even have to expose what you have done, because if the stakeholder is has enough good analytical mentality, he will ask you if you have done the correct decision to retrieve that information. So quickly answering your question, going back a bit to your question, how I solved it? No, basically I adapt to the stakeholder, to a business stakeholder that need to be strict, but I think that is also important. An executive stakeholder will never care about how you are doing analysis. You should guarantee that your analyses are fine, so they just want to see the insight to take decision.
I think that's a great point to bring up, that the hallmark of a good presentation from an analyst or from an analytics team is that you're asking, as a business stakeholder, you're asking good questions, right? Good questions that maybe they've missed or in the presentation, or that it shows that curiosity, I think. What do you think are some of the qualities of data leaders who inspire real change in the business? I'm just kind of teasing one there in the the curiosity side, but what are some of the other things in your experience that you found?
I see the data world some step behind what it was a product. I don't know, product in a digital world meaning. So the people that build the platform, build the site. And on that environment, I studied, I read some, I don't know, there is a book that is called Empowered. Okay, there is, let's say, philosophy. So it's a very structured in how to, basically it's say, okay, you hired smart people, leave them do their job, to do a very synthesis at it. And I think that a good way to have a data analysis transformation is that you should grow people in your team or in the analytical area that are not just going after a requirement. So you as a leader, you shouldn't ask a requirement, but you should ask for solving a problem. Then, okay, you have to drive it through the right way of the presentation. With your curiosity, you will point your analyst somewhere. But at the end of the day, they need to be free. They have to learn what the business is looking for. Elsewhere, they are just doing. I don't know. I don't want to do this comparison, but business intelligence, BI. BI, I don't know, in many companies that I pass through, BI has been just a data provider, a tools provider. That was why I left consultancy, by the way. So trust the analytical guy, it's important. But on the other hand, the analytical people need to understand that their opinion is important. They are the guys that are looking at information, so they have to anticipate the need of the business. Sometimes the business don't even know what they are looking for. They say, okay, do an analysis on that, and of course they are used to, okay, provide me a view, a dashboard that give me this and that. But the potential there is that the guy that is doing analysis is looking at data every day, potentially for a long period of time. He will tell you how to look at those data.
And that's a great point to bring up, is that the business, sometimes they know they need to make changes, but they can't articulate, and the business side sometimes struggles to actually tell you what they want. So that's where the analyst has to be a bit more proactive in asking, again, good questions to be able to extract the information and that value. And actually, just in your career, when you've been working with analysts, how have communication and influence and persuasion, and also you mentioned empowerment as well, played in the ability to leverage success?
Communication is the first point that I think it's important to address, because you have. I always think that there is this relationship of people who ask things or do requirement, and people who go somewhere. They have I don't know, some backlog, and they provide the final result at the end of the day, at the end of the period. They deserve to do that analysis. I think that this missing communication in the between is very struggling for everyone, because at the end of the day, the business owner don't fully understand what's the final result, and they can't chat in the between, understand how to drive to change where the analysis inside are going. So a strong communication is important. I don't know. I feel like I feel very, very comfortable in using Slack, for example. It's a tool, but one it's the other. And when I find something on a presentation or some insight, I immediately share it with more people, trying to say, hey guys, do you know something about that? Have you ever seen this or that? Okay, I work very closely also with product. And of course, sometimes it's just to point out some bug, I don't know, some idea. So some ideas are more complicated. You have to build out of it, but many times it's important also to collect feedback. Again, I like to do the comparison with product environment, and they have invented the agile. So basically, the agile is every 2 weeks, 1 week, they share what they are finding. I'm not saying the same with analysis, but potentially if I spot something, if I have a slight idea, I share it with people, and people will already start giving me feedback and say, hey, try this, try that. So it's not that the analyst has all the answer by his own. He has, let's say, the tool, the mindset, the patience, and the time to go after a need, but probably that information, that inception in his mind has been done by someone from a business line. So I'm not saying that business is useless, analysis is good. So it's not this the reality. They just have different skills, but an analyst standalone will never learn completely business. So probably someone from business will, some manager from the business, some successful manager from the business will teach an analyst how to read the business, and that way the analyst step by step will become even more serious since it will become independent.
That's absolutely correct. And I think there is this assumption that there is you even mentioned BI earlier, and I think there's an assumption that there's the data team versus the business team. But actually, in the organizations that have really nailed this down, is that there is this really element of trust in the other person's skills and capabilities, and in the case of the analyst, the technical expertise. How have you seen the role of the importance of trust in these kind of relationships?
There's a question to which I still don't have an answer. That is this. Let's say there are data engineers. Let's call it data engineers, that are the people that are building database, that are building, that are taking the tracking, or bringing some. So there is a very specific role that is building the data, and then there is someone that has to read the data. Now the point is, the people that need to read the data, so this data analyst that can become the data storyteller of a sign that is behind your shoulder, should stay close to business or closer to the data engineering? That is a question which I still don't have 100% of understanding of it. So I don't have a clear answer. But I've seen that both the solution of having everyone on the business side, it's not working so well, and having them all on the data engineering side is not working so well. So they should be somewhere in the between. So I don't know if this answered to your question. Maybe it raised another doubt, but that's it. So I don't have all the answer, unlikely.
It's a good answer because it raises more questions. So you mentioned that there needs to be this link between the data and business, of course. So is that your role as like a data leader in the business? Is your role essentially managing those two camps and bringing them together, or how do you see your role right now?
I like to say that my role is more on the growth part, let's say. So I like to say that I'm a growth business person, which I do my job thanks to analytical mindset, to my analytical background. Still, all the people that I hire in my team, they are data analysts. But I've seen that people that have a data analyst background, they can adapt to different environments. So someone on my team is moving to a more product career. Someone is more on a financial career. So it's if you are a data analyst, you are quite you can decide where to go. But this is because of this particular moment of all the industries, because we are doing a digital transformation. I read I read somewhere, I think some report of McKinsey, that during COVID, the penetration of e-commerce growth as it did in the last 10 years. So we are also some retail that usually has not been let's say the most digital environment. They are moving to a more e-commerce kind of work. So also that part, for example, I can't imagine how those industries are doing this digital transformation. I don't think it's easy to change so much the mindset. Many of them are also doing the production, the physical production with a factory. They have a supply chain, so it's very complicated. And I presume that any data analyst could help a lot in this situation of understanding the change, basically. So my role in the company today is to find opportunity where to grow. So this is why I have growth in my name, and I do everything that take care of data. So they will not ask me to do a good UX experiences. They will ask to do analysis out of that, but usually I try to delegate that because I'm more a backend guy, more a pure data analyst guy. But many processes can be optimized in this way. So there is all the marketing stuff that is very important, and is all basically all data driven.
So two questions off the back of that. Where do you see the greatest opportunities for ambitious companies and leaders today in data?
But you mean, can you define a company in data? So you're telling
sure.
me,
so a company that wants to leverage the power of data, where do you think is the low-hanging fruit that they can leverage, or data leaders in organizations that may be a little further behind on the data journey?
I'm not a big fan of consultancy. So any kind of data company that propose me like stuff like, hey, I do analysis to solve all your issues. Usually I had some chat with some of them, but usually they are too generic. So I'm not a big fan of that kind of industry, but I understand that it's working because many companies out there are doing exactly this job. I prefer to do it internally. I think that it's a core asset, and as all the core asset, they need to stay inside the company.
Agreed. And actually, we just this week posted our clip with a guy called Yuka who's the head of product analytics at ABM, talking exactly about this. So and this is, you can kind of make this internal consultant with an external consultant a comparison, because you said you have consultants who approach you, they say they can do everything, they can solve everything. There's a lot of management that needs to be done there. 9 times out of 10, no, they can't do everything. They can barely do like a little bit, and that you can compare that to an analytics team, right? An analytics team that says, hey, business, we can do everything you want us to do. Just tell us what you need and we'll do it. Whereas a good analytics team will be like, okay, tell me a specific business problem that you would like me to solve, or like us to solve, and we can hammer that home and then get some wins that way. So I think that's super interesting you bring that up specifically in the context of, because Yuka from AB InBev was saying exactly the same thing there. And in the wider
context, because I was saying before, I would like to change this behavior of I don't want the data department to be a consultant, an internal consultancy. So I don't want to leverage on the fact that I ask you to do something and you just do it. I would like the opposite. I would like you to come be proactive in proposing me, hey, look, I've seen this. I said, oh, why you were looking at that? Well, what do you care? I see it. Just take it. Do what you have to do. This is the opportunity. So I like in my company to break these silos, because actually this is a silos to work just by when you are called on a very specific topic. Then of course it always happens. I'm not saying that it's the baddest thing or the worst thing in the world, but.
So no, absolutely. I think that being proactive both on the business and data side is the key to this functioning relationship, but with the caveat that you need to manage those both manage the expectations on both ends, but also manage that process, because what you don't want is to have 50, 100 analytics projects going on at any one given time. And I think a lot of that is down to qualities like patience. I think it's down to having the courage to approach that other silo. And like you said, why are you looking at this data? Why are you focusing on the business? You're an analyst, you do this. And I think breaking that mindset is a big piece of the culture change. So just based on everything we've spoken about today, where did some of the skills that we've mentioned, things like leveraging, managing the patience of the business and the format of data presentation to engage stakeholders, where have these skills played success in your career to date?
Okay, let's say that first of all, I didn't have this role since the very beginning. So I started as a normal business analyst. So at the very beginning, I was managing just a little piece of the puzzle of a company, and I started looking with different eyes. I started working. Let's say I built a name in being reliable on the data part. So the data that I was promoting, that I was showing will be correct. I fixed some little process around this business unit, and step by step they start giving me more and more things. Since I become part of this growth team, and basically we had to spot opportunity around the company, and I always have to be grateful to my manager, because it always happened this way. Probably nobody, very few of us, very little of us are I don't know, natural born manager, whatever. Many of us just have the right guidance, and he added me in the right direction, and me being free of doing analysis, I found interesting stuff, and I proposed experiment, because in the growth mentality you have to do experiment, but also there in the digital environment we are in a world we keep talking about A/B testing. A/B testing, it's a mantra, but not every time it's done in a proper way. Sometimes it's too strict. Let's just say that, and step by step I approached. I found we found different business opportunities, and step by step we started including this business and opportunity into our perimeter. And today, let's say at least 3 times I found I spot very important things that bring a lot of money. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about the company. So this is why I'm being so fuzzy. But let's say that connecting the dots is one of the main things that you have to do. So you have some knowledge. I had some knowledge in the first business that I was running that was ancillary. Then I started investigating in another business. I find some opportunity of connecting the two things together to have a broader, a more holistic approach to the issue, to the problem, and it worked. It worked. I knew that it worked since the very beginning. No, we tested twice, 3 times, 4 times, since we found that the right way to match the two information together.
Awesome. And I think that you mentioned that you have to thank your manager. A lot of humility, which is a great feature of being a good data leader. Just a couple more questions, and we can kind of close it off there. So when you mentioned that you've been in this growth analytics role, which is kind of half analyst, team manager, and more, also more business facing than your previous roles. So from your own personal perspective, how did you reconcile moving from being an analyst, which is a very tech facing role, to becoming a more business focused? How was that transition for you?
Probably never ended. So I'm still in that transition. So actually, when I'm stressed, when I don't know, I feel too much pressure, I'm angry with my manager, I just take the day off and I start doing just Excel spreadsheet, running analysis. So the technical part is still the part that is somehow relaxing me. So I'm not completely out of being an analyst, and I really enjoy when I spend time with my team just doing analysis. Okay, so the most different part actually is losing this thing. So since I was trusting my analysis as, okay, I was doing it, I really trust them. I know 100% of what I was doing. So if someone asked me anything, I knew everything about that analysis, every single decision, I knew everything about that. The difficult part that is already in becoming a manager is that you have to trust someone else. Okay, that is, and that you don't know everything about what your teammate is doing. So you have to trust someone. So this is a first step, and it's quite difficult. It's quite it's harder to accept that you do not own everything 100%. And when you try to move away from your technical competences and start reasoning more as a business, this fact is even more, it's even wider, because before you just don't know the technicality, but the issue was 100% clear to you. Now, if you move even to the business part, you pass to the side where you do not care about the technicality of what your teammate has done, but you just want to know the final output. And so this is the more difficult part, that every time someone arrives to me with an analysis, the first thing that I do is I do not care. Let me test you, and I do some question to test if he has done the work properly.
Awesome. Well, yeah, go ahead.
But probably this is also what every executive did in my life, even when I did analysis. So I think that if you think about it, many people that are coming from, I don't know, I think nowadays many managers are coming out from important consultancy firm. So the executive level usually has a very strong analytical background. Even if they care about business, they are strong manager, successful manager, but at the very beginning they were analysts in some important consultancy firm. So actually they test you with a number. So every time you present them a number, you need to be very certain that the number are not are correct. They have consistency between them, else they will catch you immediately. So that also is quite important.
Interesting. Well, what do you think you would change if you went back on this journey again? What from analyst to business leader? What would you change about that? Or what would you do differently?
I don't know, but it's too hard, this question, Paul. How can I answer? Yeah, but okay, if I go back in my life, I will change a lot of stuff on that journey. I don't know.
No worries. Well, Marco, it's been a great conversation. Got some really good stories from you there, some really good insights as well. Last question: what advice would you give for aspiring leaders who want to become more business facing?
You have to build. I think that you have to build trust of analysts, because many of the analysts out there, they still think they are just a tools provider. So they do not understand how powerful is their ability to spot insight, and how a business a company can be driven with those insights. And I see many smart people that they just don't understand how powerful their opinion can be. So it's both sides. It's the leader need to teach the analyst that it can be powerful in a company, and the analyst need to trust that it can be powerful, and he need to be somehow empowered and made ownership of what he's producing.
Excellent. Well, Marco, as I said, great conversation. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and we'll be in touch again soon.
Thank you, Paul. It's been a pleasure.